Have you ever wondered why life keeps making you wait? You pray, you hope, you plan for tomorrow, but tomorrow never comes. What if the secret isn't in waiting for the future, but in finally claiming the now? What if I told you that the single biggest reason your desires haven't shown up yet isn't lack of faith, bad timing, or even destiny, but the fact that you've been waiting? Yes, waiting. Waiting for money to arrive, waiting for love to knock, waiting for the right moment. And yet, waiting is the invisible chain that keeps you stuck. Neville Goddard shattered this illusion with a truth that sounds almost too simple. There is only now, Neville. The past is gone, the future is a dream, and the only place creation ever happens is this exact moment. That's why your present state, what you feel right now, is not just influencing life, it's commanding it. Think about it. The mirror of life doesn't store yesterday's reflection, nor does it show tomorrow's. It only reflects what stands before it now, and if your now is filled with doubt, waiting, or fear, reality simply mirrors it back. But here's the paradox. Shift your feeling now, and everything begins to move instantly in your favor. This teaching is radical because it strips away excuses. You don't need to wait for signs, stars, or circumstances. The power isn't out there. It's in here, in the feeling you choose to embody right now. And once you see it, you'll never approach life the same way again. Imagine for a moment that everything you've been chasing, memories, regrets, or dreams, were like moving clouds. They pass, they change, but the sky itself remains still. That sky is the present. Neville Goddard reminded us that there is only now, Neville, because creation never waits for tomorrow. It's always unfolding here, in this instant. Many people spend their days lost between two illusions, the past and the future. The past feels heavy because it's familiar. The future feels promising because it's distant, but neither has real existence. The only doorway through which manifestation enters is this moment. Living in the now manifestation is not an option. It's the very essence of how reality works. Think about breathing. You can't inhale yesterday's air or hold tomorrow's breath. You only have this one. That's the eternal present. And just like your lungs, your mind and heart can only create here, now. This is why present moment reflection isn't poetic fluff. It's the literal mechanism of creation. Notice how often people say, "When I get the money, then I'll be happy," or "Someday I'll meet the right person." They miss that someday is always out of reach. The seed of manifestation never grows in the soil of tomorrow. Neville showed us that the secret is always to stop waiting future Neville and step into the fulfillment of now. Even faith loses its power if it's postponed. Faith is not believing that something will happen. Faith is the conviction that it is. That subtle shift turns waiting into being. The eternal present is not asking you to predict the future, it's asking you to embody it. After all, feeling is the secret now, not later. Imagine reality as a mirror. If you smile now, the reflection smiles instantly. It doesn't delay until tomorrow. In the same way, your inner state right now is mirrored by the world around you. That's why Neville insisted, the law of assumption present is the law that works, not the one tied to maybe later. People often resist this truth because the future feels safer. You can always hide hope in tomorrow without risking disappointment today. But that's the very trap. Reality doesn't listen to hopes, it listens to states, and states only exist now. If you want proof, observe how your emotions instantly color your day, not next week. Take a child laughing in a park. In that moment, there's no concern about what happened at breakfast or what will happen at dinner. The child is simply alive in the present. That purity is what Neville meant by imagination creates reality. When the mind plays in the now, the world follows. You may have noticed that when you recall a painful memory, your body reacts as if it's happening again. Heart racing, stomach tightening. It's proof that everything is happening in the present. The mind doesn't know the difference between memory, imagination, or reality. It only knows now. That's why you must live in the end today, not tomorrow. And here lies the liberating realization. The eternal present is not a cage, it's your open door. The past has no chains unless you pick them up, and the future has no promises unless you plant them now. Every step you take into awareness of the present makes creation alive, immediate, and real. And this opens the path toward understanding why the now matters more than anything else. Right now, as you sit here, your inner state is leaving an imprint. Think of it like wet cement. Whatever emotion or belief you press into it at this moment will harden and shape what comes next. Neville Goddard revealed that there is only now Neville, and this now is the substance from which tomorrow is formed. The subconscious doesn't operate on calendar dates. It doesn't care if you say next week I'll be confident or someday I'll be rich. It only absorbs what you feel and assume now. That's why living in the now manifestation is so crucial. The subconscious only knows this instant, nothing else. Have you ever noticed how your mood in the morning sets the tone for the entire day? If you wake up frustrated, it's like a domino effect. Traffic seems worse, conversations feel heavier, and opportunities slip away. This is present moment reflection in action. Your current vibration writes the script for what follows. Neville often said that imagining the end is the true prayer. But prayer isn't a future request. It's a present embodiment. When you assume a state now, the subconscious treats it as fact. That's why feeling is the secret now, because only what's felt in this instant takes root in the creative soil of your mind. Imagine trying to plant a tree tomorrow. If you never put the seed in the ground today, tomorrow's forest never arrives. The same applies to your inner states. If you want abundance, love, or peace to blossom, the seed must be planted now. The law of assumption present demands immediacy, not delay. Think of a musician tuning their instrument before playing. If the strings are aligned now, the music flows effortlessly. If not, every note that follows is distorted. Life works the same way. You can't expect harmony later if your state is dissonant now. This is why imagination creates reality, because imagination tunes your present. Many fall into the trap of asking, when will it happen? But the real question is, what state am I occupying right now? That's the only doorway creation can use. Even a passing thought infused with strong emotion can echo outward into experiences. You don't wait for the future, you build it now. Think about laughter. The moment you laugh, your whole body shifts. Shoulders relax, breathing deepens, the room feels lighter. It's an instant demonstration of how the present state reshapes reality. Living in the end isn't about hoping. It's about letting the joy, love, or certainty be real now, as if it already happened. The present moment is like a sculptor's hand pressing into clay. Each thought, each feeling, shapes the form of what will soon harden into reality. That's why Neville urged, stop waiting for signs and become the sign. Everything is born here, and what's born here in the now cannot be denied. Once you see that every result comes from the present state, it's impossible to ignore. Waiting loses its appeal, and you realize that the power isn't in someday, it's in this very breath, this very heartbeat. And from here we can uncover the silent trap that keeps so many stuck, living in a future that never arrives. One of the most subtle illusions is thinking that life will begin when the money comes, when the relationship shows up, when the career finally works out. But here's the catch, that when never arrives, because you're always placing it ahead of you. Neville Goddard warned that to stop waiting future Neville is to reclaim creation. Have you noticed how people often say, next year will be different? It sounds hopeful, but it's also a confession that today remains unchanged. By postponing the state, they keep the result locked away. Living in the now manifestation reveals that reality doesn't answer promises, it answers presence. Imagine running on a treadmill. You sweat, you move, you feel exhausted, but you never actually go anywhere. That's the trap of living in the future. You're always running towards something that keeps shifting further ahead. The mind feels busy, but the heart knows. Creation happens only here, now. Neville taught that feeling is the secret now, yet many live as if feeling is something to schedule. They plan to feel happy once everything works out. But that postponement is the lock on the door. The secret is to feel it first, here, without waiting for external permission. To a simple example, have you ever told yourself, I'll rest when this project is done? But then another project comes and another. Rest never happens because it was always placed in the future. Manifestation works the same way. If peace is always after, peace never becomes now. The subconscious is like fertile soil. You can't tell it, don't worry, I'll plant the seed next week. The soil only accepts what you place in it today. That's why the law of assumption present insists that you embody fulfillment now, or else the soil remains empty. Many people unknowingly sabotage themselves with phrases like, one day I'll be rich, soon I'll be confident, or eventually I'll be free. Each of those statements is a vow to delay, and the subconscious, faithful as it is, mirrors that delay back as endless waiting. Think of someone standing in front of a mirror saying, I'll smile later. The reflection never changes because the action never happens now. In the same way, the world is only a present moment reflection. It cannot reflect tomorrow's state. It can only echo the one you choose here. When Neville said to live in the end, he didn't mean dream about a distant finish line. He meant step into the state now, even before evidence appears. Waiting is the disguise of doubt. Being is the expression of faith, and creation always answers being, not hoping. The most dangerous part of living in the future is that it feels spiritual. It feels like faith, but in truth, it's lack wearing a mask. The longer you wait, the longer you postpone your own fulfillment. And soon, the weight of the past joins forces with the illusion of the future, keeping you stuck between two shadows. The past can feel like a heavy backpack we never take off. Old mistakes, painful words, regrets, they pile up until every step feels slower. But Neville Goddard reminded us, there is only now Neville. Carrying yesterday into today only guarantees that tomorrow looks exactly like yesterday. Think of someone who once failed in business and now fears trying again. Every decision is colored by that memory. But here's the truth. The failure isn't happening now, it's only being replayed in the mind. Living in the now manifestation means refusing to let a ghost direct your choices. Have you ever heard someone say, "I'm like this because of what happened years ago"? That statement isn't about the past. It's a decision in the present. By repeating the story, they impress it once again into the subconscious. This is how the law of assumption present quietly recycles the same reality. Neville often said the world is nothing but present moment reflection. That means even the trauma you drag along is only alive because you keep breathing energy into it today. Without that fuel, it dissolves. The past has no life of its own. It only borrows life from the now. Picture an actor rehearsing the same painful scene over and over. The audience changes, the stage changes, but the script remains the same. That's what happens when old memories run the show. Unless you choose a new role now, the world keeps echoing the same drama. Science even shows this. The brain replays memory as if it were happening again. The body reacts, heart racing, palms sweating, as though the event is alive. But it's not alive, it's imagined. And if imagination creates reality, why keep imagining pain when you could imagine peace instead? A practical example. If you constantly say, "Relationships never work for me," the subconscious hears it as a command, and so the mirror of life reflects it back faithfully. This is why Neville urged us to live in the end, not in the reruns of the past. Think of the windshield of a car. If it's covered with yesterday's dust, today's view is blurred. The road is here, the opportunities are here, but the driver can't see them. Cleaning the glass is nothing more than choosing to release the past and see the present clearly. The heaviest chains are the invisible ones, beliefs formed by repetition of old stories, but every moment is a chance to drop them. The past doesn't exist in reality, it only exists in memory, and memory only exists now, in your imagination. That's where freedom begins. When you finally lay down the weight of yesterday, life becomes lighter, clearer, and more open. But here's the hidden truth. If you don't, the world will continue to replay the same script, because reality can only echo the state you hold now, and the now is nothing but a mirror of your inner state. Look around you. Every detail of your life, the people you meet, the conversations you have, the situations that appear, is a mirror reflecting your inner state. Neville Goddard taught that there is only now Neville, and in this now the mirror never lies. If you feel unworthy, the mirror shows situations that echo rejection. If you feel abundant, opportunities suddenly line up. That's living in the now manifestation. Life doesn't respond to what you say you want, but to what you embody now. Think of a mirror in your room. You wouldn't scold it for showing your tired face. You'd simply rest, wash up, and come back different. Reality works the same way. It only reflects. That's why present moment reflection is the key to understanding manifestation. Have you noticed how when you're in love, the whole world feels brighter? Music sounds sweeter. Strangers seem kinder. That's the law in action. The law of assumption present ensures that your inner state paints every corner of your reality. Neville often said that imagination creates reality, but imagination isn't a faraway fantasy. It's the brush painting the canvas of now. If your imagination is full of doubt, life reflects doubt. If it's full of certainty, life reflects certainty. The mirror is faithful, not selective. Think of waking up on a day you feel unstoppable. Suddenly, traffic doesn't bother you, problems seem solvable, and ideas flow. Nothing out there changed. The shift was inside. That's proof that feeling is the secret now, because the mirror of life followed the vibration instantly. A powerful analogy. Imagine a movie screen. The screen doesn't create the film, it simply displays what the projector beams. Your world is that screen. The projector is your imagination. The film reel is the state you hold now. Change the reel, and the whole movie changes. But here's the trap. People often think they must fix the mirror, change jobs, switch partners, move cities. Yet the mirror has no power of its own. Unless the inner state shifts, the reflection remains the same. That's why external change without internal change feels temporary. Consider how children play pretend. The moment they assume they're a superhero, their posture, energy, and even confidence shift. The mirror of life responds just the same way when you live in the end. What you assume now is what the reflection has no choice but to display. And once you grasp this, everything simplifies. The world is not against you. It's only reflecting you. Complaining at the mirror is useless. Shifting your state changes everything. And as you realize this truth, another layer emerges. Feelings themselves aren't passive. They are the creative force shaping the very next frame of your reflection. Neville Goddard repeated it like a heartbeat. Feeling is the secret now. Why? Because feelings are not passive emotions. They are active creative forces shaping the very fabric of your reality. The way you feel in this moment decides what unfolds in the next. Imagine a radio. You can twist the dial all you want, but until you tune into the right frequency, you won't hear the station. Feelings are your frequency. That's why living in the now manifestation requires not just thinking differently, but feeling differently. Right here, right now. Thoughts can lie. They can be empty words with no impact. But feelings, they have weight, texture, vibration. That's why Neville taught that imagination creates reality only when it is clothed with feeling. It's the difference between saying, "I am loved," and actually feeling loved. Think of the last time you were nervous. Maybe it was before a job interview or a difficult conversation. Notice how your body reacted. Sweaty palms, tight stomach, restless energy. That's the creative force of feeling. It wasn't the future moment causing it. It was the state you held in the now. The law of assumption present doesn't respond to logic. It responds to the energy behind your state. You can read affirmations all day, but unless you feel them alive in your chest, nothing shifts. The universe mirrors the vibration, not the empty words. A practical example. Picture walking into a room where someone just had an argument. Even if they're silent, you feel the tension in the air. That's proof that feelings radiate and shape atmospheres. When you carry certainty, peace, or joy, the world instantly reflects it back. This is why Neville urged us to live in the end. Not because imagining a better future is cute, but because the feeling of fulfillment now sets the stage for reality to mirror it. The subconscious treats your current feeling as a command, not a request. Have you ever laughed so deeply that suddenly everything felt possible? For that moment, problems seemed smaller, solutions clearer, and people friendlier. That's what it means when we say present moment reflection. Your inner state colors the world in real time. Feelings are not waiting for the future. They are the power shaping it. Right now, if you allow yourself to feel safe, abundant, or loved, you're already moving reality into alignment. That's why waiting is the biggest illusion. The creative act is always here, never later. When you understand that feelings are living forces, every second becomes an opportunity. You no longer postpone joy, success, or peace. You embody them as present realities. And once you anchor this awareness, the natural question arises: how do we consciously return to this power moment after moment in daily life? Knowing that feeling is the secret now is powerful, but applying it in the middle of daily chaos requires practice. Neville Goddard often taught simple imaginal acts, and one of the most effective is anchoring yourself in the present. This is where manifestation becomes tangible, not just theory. Begin with something simple. Pause and breathe. Inhale deeply. Hold it for a moment. Then exhale slowly. That single act reminds your body, "I am here." It interrupts the constant loop of past and future. This pause opens the door for living in the now manifestation to become real. After the breath, let your imagination step in. Create a short imaginal scene where you already are who you want to be. It doesn't need to be dramatic. Sometimes it's just a friend congratulating you or holding the keys to your new home. This act signals the law of assumption present. The secret is not in the complexity of the image, but in the feeling it generates. Even if the scene is only a few seconds long, let the sensation sink in. That tingling warmth in your chest, that's the proof that the subconscious has heard you. Imagination creates reality when it feels alive now. Think of it like mental rehearsal. Athletes visualize crossing the finish line before they even step on the track. The body aligns with the mind and the performance follows. You do the same with your desires. You rehearse the end until the present moment reflection naturally mirrors it. Another way to anchor into now is gratitude, but not vague gratitude. Choose one specific detail that proves life is already on your side. Maybe it's the roof above your head, or the meal you just had. By feeling gratitude now, you vibrate abundance instead of waiting for it. If your mind wanders, don't fight it. Gently bring it back, like guiding a child by the hand. Resistance weakens when met with softness. Neville urged persistence, but persistence isn't force. It's returning again and again to live in the end until it feels like home. Practice this anchoring in ordinary moments, while washing dishes, waiting in line, or before falling asleep. These small pauses, repeated often, reprogram the subconscious more effectively than hours of scattered effort. Creation doesn't demand rituals, it demands consistency in the now. Over time, you'll notice that the imaginal scene stops feeling like a game. It becomes second nature, a quiet certainty humming beneath your day. That's when you know the law of assumption present has taken root. The state is no longer something you visit, but somewhere you live. Anchoring into now is not about escaping reality, it's about shaping it. Each pause, each breath, each imaginal act is a seed planted in fertile ground. And soon, the fruit shows up in ways that feel almost miraculous. But how can you tell if you're truly living in that state of now? The signs are clearer than you think. One of the first signs is an unexpected calmness. Even when circumstances haven't shifted yet, there's a quiet certainty inside. It feels like the storm may still be raging outside, but your inner world has already found shelter. Neville Goddard called this resting in the truth that there is only now Neville. Another clear indicator is when synchronicities start appearing. You think of someone and they call. You imagine a scenario and suddenly you see it reflected around you. These moments aren't coincidences. They're proof of present moment reflection. Life showing you that your inner state is already creating ripples. You also notice a release from urgency. The need to force, to push, to control begins to dissolve. Instead, there's trust. This is what it means to stop waiting, future Neville. You're no longer leaning on tomorrow. You're standing firmly in today, knowing creation is unfolding now. Have you ever felt joy without a reason? Not because of good news, not because of achievement, but simply because. That's a sign. It's the subconscious affirming that the law of assumption present has been accepted. You've moved from seeking proof to embodying proof. Another marker is how setbacks feel different. Instead of spiraling into fear, you respond with perspective. You may even catch yourself thinking, "It's already mine. It's just rearranging." That subtle shift in response shows that feeling is the secret now has become a lived reality. People around you often notice before you do. They say you seem lighter, more magnetic, even without external changes. That's the aura of someone living in the end. And remember, when Neville said imagination creates reality, he meant it literally. Others feel it radiating from you. The world starts playing with you in small but meaningful ways. You get lucky breaks, stumble on opportunities, or hear the exact words you needed. These synchronicities are simply reflections of your state, proving that living in the now manifestation is already shaping the script. Another sign. You stop needing constant external validation. The inner fulfillment feels so real that outer confirmation is welcome but not required. That's when creation speeds up, because you're no longer chasing signs. You've become the sign. Rest becomes sweeter. Sleep feels more peaceful. Even silence feels alive. Why? Because the mind is no longer running to past or future. You're anchored here, and here is where power resides. Live in the end long enough, and peace becomes your default soundtrack. When you add these signs together, calmness, synchronicities, trust, joy without reason, you realize you're not waiting anymore. You're being. And from that state, persistence becomes effortless because you're not chasing tomorrow. You're feeding the now. Which leads to the deeper practice, persisting in this state no matter what the outer world shows. Neville Goddard often emphasized that the secret isn't just entering the state, it's remaining there. Anyone can touch a moment of faith, but persistence is what molds reality. To persist means holding the awareness that there is only now Neville, regardless of appearances. Life will test you. Bills may still arrive, relationships may wobble, and doubts may whisper. But persisting doesn't mean ignoring these. It means refusing to let them dictate your state. You return again and again to living in the now manifestation, knowing this is the soil creation responds to. Think of a sculptor chiseling marble. Each strike may seem small, almost insignificant, yet with persistence the figure emerges. Your imaginal acts are the same. One moment of feeling fulfilled might not look powerful, but repeated, it becomes unshakable reality. The outer world is slow clay, the inner world is the mold. If you keep shifting molds, the clay never settles into form. That's why present moment reflection demands consistency. The mirror can only stabilize once you stop changing what you're feeding it. Neville said feeling is the secret now, not feeling once. The subconscious requires repetition until the new state becomes natural. Just like learning to ride a bike, you wobble at first, but with practice, balance becomes automatic. Persistence builds that balance. Imagine planting seeds in a garden, but digging them up every morning to check if they've sprouted. The garden never grows. That's what happens when we switch states too quickly. Persistence is planting once, watering daily, and trusting the unseen process. The law of assumption rewards steadfastness. Even when evidence isn't immediate, holding the fulfilled feeling ensures it takes root. Reality can't resist a consistent inner command. It must bend to it. What bends first is your perception. What bends next is the world itself. A practical tip: choose a simple imaginal scene and stick with it. Don't redesign it every day. Whether it's a congratulatory handshake or the feeling of keys in your hand, repeat it until it becomes second nature. That's persistence, staying loyal to the end. Of course, doubts will creep in. That's natural. But persistence is not about never doubting. It's about returning. Each return strengthens the groove in your subconscious. Eventually, imagination creates reality becomes not just a phrase, but your lived experience. Persisting in the now is liberation. You realize that appearances are temporary echoes, but your state is the architect. Keep choosing, keep returning, keep embodying the end, and soon the reflection shifts. But there's one last revelation that ties everything together, the liberating truth that now is the only real power you'll ever have. At the heart of Neville Goddard's teachings lies a truth both simple and revolutionary. The only real moment is now. The past is memory. The future is imagination, but creation itself is immediate. There is only now, Neville, and this now is the stage where all miracles unfold. When you grasp this, the burden of waiting dissolves. You no longer lean on someday because you realize life can only be experienced now. That's the liberating essence of living in the now manifestation. Freedom from delay, freedom from hope, disguised as lack. Think of a mirror. It doesn't store reflections from yesterday, nor does it project them into tomorrow. It only reflects what stands before it now. Reality works in the same way. That's present moment reflection. The world is not preparing to reflect you. It already is. Neville exposed the trap of waiting by teaching that to stop waiting. Future Neville is to stop postponing your own power. Creation is not something you chase, it's something you embody. The moment you feel the end as real now, reality begins its rearrangement. This truth can feel uncomfortable at first, because it removes excuses. You can't blame the past or wait for the future, but that's its beauty. The responsibility is also the freedom. At any breath, in any place, you can shift. Feeling is the secret now, and now is always accessible. The law of assumption present doesn't require special conditions. You don't need the stars aligned, the calendar right, or permission from anyone else. The only requirement is to assume the state now. And when you do, the unseen currents of life begin moving in your favor. Imagination creates reality not tomorrow, but instantly. The very act of imagining with feeling is the seed planted in the soil of now. Just as a tree begins its life the moment the seed touches earth, your new reality begins the moment the feeling touches consciousness. To live in the end is not about fantasy, it's about liberation. It means you're free from waiting, free from doubt, free from conditions. You embody the truth that you already are, and the world bows to that certainty. That's why Neville insisted the end must be claimed now. The liberating truth of now is that power was never missing. It was only overlooked, buried beneath stories of yesterday and dreams of tomorrow. Strip those away and you find it waiting, quiet, patient, faithful, always here, always now. And when you truly see it, you'll never be the same. Because you realize the game of life isn't about chasing, it's about being. And the now is always reflecting who you are, which is why the journey doesn't end here. It begins with you choosing, right now, to live as the version you've always desired. So let me ask you, how many moments of your life have you spent waiting? Waiting for proof, waiting for change, waiting for the future to finally bring what your heart longs for? And how would your world look if instead of waiting, you chose to live the end now? The truth Neville Goddard left us with is unshakable. Feeling is the secret now. Your present state is the seed, and life can only mirror it faithfully. The past can't hold you. The future can't save you. The only real power you've ever had is in this very moment. So take a breath, choose the feeling of the fulfilled desire, and step into it right now. That's where the shift happens. That's where the waiting ends. That's where your new life begins. And if this message stirred something inside you, don't let it stop here. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications and stay connected, because every week we'll dive even deeper into the truths that awaken your power and transform your reality.